If you're on a job search, don't miss this video.
Have you ever applied for a job without getting feedback from the recruiter or the organization? Sometimes we think it's because we are not experienced for the role, but the truth is, it could just be that you are making mistakes in your CV. Over the years, I've had time to review some CVs, and these are the mistakes that I see that people make, which could prevent them from getting a job. In today's video, I'll be breaking down 5 mistakes that you might be making in your CV and how to fix them.
The first CV mistake is having too much text. Recruiters spend less than 10 seconds on a CV at first glance, and long paragraphs are hard to scan. Instead of chunking paragraph without bullet points, for example, instead of saying, I was responsible for managing day-to-day office admin, assisting the manager, and organizing meetings, you can try the same text but with bullet points and say, managed daily office operations, improving turnaround by 30%. And then you can use another bullet point to say, scheduled and coordinated over 40 meetings per month across departments. Bullet points keep things clean and focused.
Now, you might be using one size fits all CV to apply for all your roles. What does this mean? It means that you could be applying for different roles with just one CV. Anybody looking at that CV will be wondering what exactly it is you're doing, because a CV is supposed to sell you to the organization or sell you to the company without the first contact, right? So the first contact that a recruiter sees is your CV. Now imagine that you're applying for a marketing role and you are using a CV for an HR position. You're not telling a good story about yourself, because that way, the recruiter is confused as to what exactly it is you're bringing to the table. So now what do? If you see a role that you like and you think that you can actually do that role, right, what you need to do is to tailor your CV to fit the advert that you have seen. What I advise people to do is take out the job description, take out the person specification that you can see in the job advert, and use that to create a CV that tailors to the job advert that you have found. So instead of using a care job CV to apply for a role of a marketing officer, right, what you want to do is take out the job specification from the marketing job advert that you can see and create a CV that aligns. You want to use keywords that actually aligns to the role, so that the recruiter is not confused and so that the recruiter knows that you actually know what you are doing. So one of the mistakes I see people do for this is that they actually feel that there are transferable skills right there. So in as much as there are transferable skills, you want to put those transferable skills just under the skills section that you've created in your CV, not in the body of the experience. You don't want to create a CV that is causing confusion. The recruiter has no idea what you are trying to say. What they do then is to send out rejection, right? So you want to ensure that you are tailoring CV based on the role. Sometimes it could be that maybe you're just in a hurry, but to actually get a CV that aligns to the job advert that you found, do not apply for that job, right? If that makes sense. So that's what mistake that people do.
Now, the next mistake I see people make is having weak professional summary. Your professional summary is primary estate. You need to be able to sell yourself with this. Don't just write motivated individual seeking an opportunity to grow. Be specific and try something like detail-oriented HR advisor with 4 years experience in payroll, employee relations, and process improvement. Passionate about building efficient, people-centered solutions. That gives context and tells the recruiter who you are immediately.
Next thing is using different fonts in your CV. You're creating a CV and then the fonts that you use for the professional summary is different from the fonts that you use for the experience, it's different from the fonts that you use for the education. This is not going to make the CV organized, right? So anyone looking at that CV is really getting an impression about you that you are not organized. So and you don't want that to be the first impression that anybody or a recruiter gets from you. What you know to do is make sure that the fonts that you're using in your CV aligns, right? Look at your CV, review it and see if it is actually organized, if it is readable. Put yourself in the shoes of the recruiter. See if you can actually read the CV that you've created yourself. If you can read the CV and it looks organized, then that's fine. Or maybe also send it to a friend to review for you and see if the font actually aligns, right? Another bonus tip that I'll give you is make sure that your CV is exported to PDF. Many people make the mistake of sending the Word documents because they feel like, oh, it's a Word document and it's quite easy to send and amend, right? But what I would say is, if you're sending out your CV in a Word format, there's a tendency that it can change the organization of your CV. It could change how you've organized your CV, right? So you want to send it in a PDF. That way, when you are sending out your CV, the format is not tampered with, right?
Another mistake I see people make in their CV is having no metrics or results in their CV. When a CV lacks metrics or results, it often reads like a list of tasks, not impact. It just looks like you just listed out your job description. But numbers tell a story. They show the difference you made, how well you performed, and why you stood out in your role. So you want to make sure that your CV has metrics and results included in them. For example, instead of saying I manage payroll, I now say I processed payroll for over 3,000 employees each month, ensuring 100% accuracy and resolving 95% of queries within 48 hours. That paints a clearer picture. It's not just about what you did, it's about what change you brought to the team, and it's about what changed because you did it. Another one is, instead of saying I handled recruitment, I say I recruited and onboarded 15 employees in 3 months, reducing time to hire by 25% and improving new hire retention. Every role leaves a trail of results. We just need to trace them. So now, when I talk about my experience, I highlight real outcome, whether it is reducing errors, improving processes, or increasing engagement. Make it count. That's the difference between a good CV and a powerful one.
Bonus tips I'll give you is you can include your city and your postcode if you're in the UK, but do not include your full address. Do not include your photos in your CV. I see people do this, but if you're in the UK, I'd advise you not to include your photos, not putting personal information like your age, your religion, and your gender. So yes, guys, those are the mistakes that I've noticed people make in their CV. Thank you for watching this video, and if this video was helpful and useful to you, remember to give this video a thumbs up, like this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel.